Tonight's stories.
Cultural appropriation?
Split the bill.
Waitress.
That was pretty good.
That was a practice. Oh, no.
That was a practice. It wasn't real. She didn't continue.
I didn't know.
She usually continues.
I thought we needed another one.
No, that was so good. He's not going to be able to say it again.
Okay, I'll just go.
Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Comfort Level Podcast. I'm Madi, and I'm here with
Sam.
Joe.
Brandon.
people have been wanting to know more about the guests. So if you could kind of give like a little rundown of how, you know, who's Joe, but also like how do we know Joe?
Who is Joe? That is an excellent question. I wish I knew. I just went, well, Joe is...
we need snapping on this board.
It'll appreciate if you let it. Who is Joe? Joe is a singer-songwriter from... I like to say Omaha, Nebraska, by way of Utica, Mississippi.
Hey.
I am currently a double master student in vocal performance and Black sacred music.
Let's go.
It's one of the first. Well, it's the first of its kind.
It sounds like the first. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, and I am. I guess I consider myself a friend.
Right.
I'm just kidding. No. I love these guys. We've met I don't know, I feel like I've met you guys individually across the years. I first met Brandon in 2015?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think I met Sam 17?
Yeah, I was like 17, 18, around there.
And then Madi, was it 17, 18?
I feel like it's been like since like at least 2020.
Yeah.
At least. I feel like I probably heard about you before then, but that's probably when I met you.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen you a few times, and then I think that's probably...
Because I think it was after we started dating is when we I think one of the first times I met you was when we were at Kevin's house that one time.
Yes.
He had everybody over.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. Yeah.
You didn't meet Joe.
So
you didn't meet
You met
Joe.
somebody else.
You met Donovan.
You met Donovan.
Oh, I was going to say, I was like, Joe was there.
Don't bring that up.
And who is Donovan?
His alter ego.
Yeah.
Because I met Donovan last night. That was the first time I met Donovan.
Listen, we go.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that.
I'm just saying he's a cool guy. That's all I'm saying. We'll leave it at that.
Okay, next question.
I just know with Donovan, he just needs his water bottle at the end of the night, like this first
Like
story.
this next story. Let's go.
We were all
She
like,
says like this first story on the first
Yeah,
one. I
that's
think we
weird.
always say like this next story.
I always say like this next story. I don't
And
care if
I
it's the
almost
first,
always
I don't
make
care
the
if it's
mistake. I've been
last.
trying not to though.
Like this first story, it makes so much sense. And now I'm just like...
Like this first story, like this last story.
You say like this last story?
I've been trying to do it. I usually don't do it.
I will never say it. And
Okay.
I just want you guys to know that.
Okay.
That's good on
Us
you.
or the audience?
Thank you for telling us that. Do you feel better about it?
Yeah, it feels really good.
Okay.
To get that off my chest.
That's cool.
We love that. We love to be supportive.
Yeah, we love that for you.
I appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
I feel it.
That was giving like Hogwarts vibes because he had the blanket on. It was like
flutter.
Professor
I
Snape.
can hear the flutter behind him. It was like...
Last time we were like getting food and stuff, and he just walked past, but then he ran past the next time and said, "I'm vengeance." I just looked at him. He didn't look back or anything. It's like he didn't want us to acknowledge that he said that, and he did that.
We love Steph. Steph's awesome.
Steph's so good.
Shout out, Steph.
Shout out, Steph, man.
So this first story is from r/Petty Revenge. Told a family that stole my water bottle that I have an STI. Context, I, 22 female, work at an amusement park during the summer holidays to make some extra cash on the side. My job role involves checking people's tickets, placing them onto the ride, checking some safety restraints, and watching over the ride course in case of an emergency happening. While I was checking safety restraints, I noticed that one of the customers had stolen my water bottle. The man stole my water bottle and passed it to his wife, who then gave it to their child daughter. I briefly noticed it happen out of the corner of my eye. I don't know what came over me. I was just tired due to having to deal with countless tired, exhausted, and cranky guests, and I thought that this family needed to learn a lesson to not steal people's water bottles. I walked up to the man and I told him that he shouldn't have stolen it. He looked panicked and apologized and asked if I wanted it back. I declined and said that for his information, I have mouth herpes before showing him a mouth ulcer that I had.
Oh.
It's not from herpes, but from accidentally biting my mouth while eating. He looked panicked and then told his wife, who broke down sobbing, and she called me the asshole. While telling my family and friends about this, they all seemed rather split. Some of my friends thought it was a really, really funny prank to pull, while a lot of others in my family think that while the family was in the wrong to steal my property in broad daylight, I shouldn't have given the family such a scare from a serious disease. I don't know. For me, I'm like, I think it's petty because it's just giving them a scare because they're not really going to get it.
Yeah.
There's no real consequences besides maybe just being like, hey, let me not steal a water bottle that's not mine.
True.
Which is why I feel like it's like petty revenge.
But I think I agree with you. It's just saying something. It's a little scare. It's not real. So I don't get why she called him an asshole. Like, they stole it and then she was like, you're an asshole for saying that?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a girl.
What?
Yeah.
The OP was a girl.
Oh, you're an asshole for saying that, girl? OP?
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Because
That-
either I don't say anything and then if it was real, then it happened.
Uh-huh.
Or I do say something to warn you, which is still kind of a warning, even if it is petty to say because it's not true.
I feel like they were embarrassed and scared of what that could actually mean, and they tried to take it out on there. Because obviously, OP is not the asshole for doing that.
Right.
You know? So I feel like they were just like embarrassed, scared, and now they're like, okay, I have to push this blame onto somebody else. But this reminded me of a TikTok that went viral a few months ago, and by the time you guys see this, it might be like even more a few months ago.
Years ago.
But it was a woman who took her daughter to like Disneyland, and kind of a similar thing happened. Somebody stole her Stanley water bottle, and she kind of said something similar where she was like, my daughter has this thing. And she was like, so good luck drinking my water bottle. I hope you liked it. And she basically led everybody to believe that she was contagious, the daughter was. And so a lot of people were actually upset though, because they're like, why are you bringing your daughter to Disneyland if she's contagious for this other thing? And so the mom had to come out and be like, guys, I just said that to like freak people out. I was just angry. Like, she obviously like isn't contagious anymore. I'm a nurse and my husband's a doctor, and I can show you like how long
They're
she's been
always
on
nurses
meds.
and doctors.
But she just like couldn't understand that people were upset that it's like, okay, but you didn't tell us that it was fake. You
Yeah.
led us to believe that she actually was contagious, and so we're worried that you brought your daughter to Disneyland. And then she didn't want to take any accountability for that. She just kind of like does that thing sometimes people do where they act like they don't understand what you're saying. Like they just keep pushing past like what their
You're talking
point
about,
of
like,
logic is.
Weaponized and confidence.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, guys, I said this, and they're ignoring everybody else's like, but this is what it sounded like, you know?
Yeah.
But in this situation, she told us that it was fake. It's not like she's like, I gave somebody this. Just kidding, guys, it was fake, you know?
Yeah. I think the difference between the example too is like when you get the internet involved, no matter what you do, it's just going to be wrong. Like here, it's like it was just a one family interaction. So it was like, the people I know could probably be up in arms about it, but not the whole internet, you know?
But the internet's involved in the Reddit story.
In the Reddit story. But I guess bringing it in, she brought it in like directly. Like if he was like, oh, like this person stole and recorded it, it was like, this person stole, little does he know I have herpes, and then posted it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened, I feel like. But yeah, no. I was on, how do I say this? I was like, maybe it was a little far at first for him to say that after they're like, no, we'll give it back. But then the second that the woman like was like, no, you are not an a-hole for doing that, even though not knowing that it was fake, I was like, okay, that's kind of messed up. Like you're like, I try with people stealing, I try not to judge too hard because sometimes it's like there's a reason they're stealing that they don't really have much, you know, but you know, some people that are stealing can be bad people. And I think after the doubling down, I was like, okay, maybe they're just bad people, just stealing.
I don't think necessarily have to be bad people, but
No,
they could just like still. this is your punishment for stealing.
Yeah. Wait, I can't hear you.
I'm like, this is your punishment for stealing. Is this?
Yeah.
It's so light. It's not going to affect you
True.
from now on. That's why it is good petty revenge, because it's petty and
Yeah.
you can move on from it. It's not like you like grabbed the husband and got him to cheat with you, gave him herpes, and like
Took pictures of it.
Yeah,
like this
like
next story.
I don't want to look at her.
Did you believe it, or you didn't know? You knew.
Yeah, I knew. That's all right. I'm not turning around.
Come on, turn around. Turn around. I'm gonna transition the story with your own pain. Turn around.
You gotta jump, Joe. You gotta jump in.
I'm sorry, I don't know the song.
You don't know? Okay.
Turn around, bright eyes.
Story's gonna hit me every time. It's really gonna roll.
And I use it for the transition. And it's the funniest
Maddie.
part of the episode.
I'm such a fan. Y'all better sing on today.
On today.
On
today.
today. On today.
I don't know why I hate those two
I
words.
hate
Like,
on today. I
on
always
tonight.
hated it.
Because I'm trying to figure out like grammatically which one it is. Like, all right, we'll see you guys today or something, or is it we'll see you guys on today? Because I genuinely was like, which one is right?
They never say. It's not like the action see you. It's like
Because like we'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, there's no
they're
action.
just saying today.
We'll see
They're
you
saying
Sunday.
it's
Yeah,
on today.
Yeah, it's like no action before it.
Yeah.
Like not the see you.
You're not going to do something on today. It's just like this happening on today.
Because I feel like I've heard it before, but I'm trying to think of like what
People
is
at
the other
church say it all the
equivalent.
time.
On-
Context.
Yeah.
Yeah, people at church say it all the time.
Instead of on today, the most time they say on tonight.
Oh.
Like, praise him on today.
On today.
Okay.
Ooh, that hit Maddie.
Well, for me, I was like, it always
That's good. That's good. Do you like that?
on today. Amen. Not Pastor Maddie coming in.
Oh, Pastor Maddie.
Come on. Let them use you, Maddie.
No, not Pastor.
Not
Pastor Maddie. Pastor Maddie's
Pastor
bad.
Maddie's a problem.
A menace to society, if you will.
Oh.
Pastor Maddie is what all the religious monsters are, where they use the religion for their own gain,
Oh, no.
not the actual people that, aren't religious but have a relationship with God.
Preach. Oh, maybe this was good, Pastor Maddie. Maybe we're getting better.
Am I the asshole for postponing our wedding because my fiance wants to have pictures of her late husband in it?
Huh?
Wait.
That's a wild thing.
Wait, is he,
I'm so sorry,
is he
Maddie.
dead now?
Yes.
And you want, okay.
He's dead now.
Okay, let me make sure I'm understanding. Getting married.
Yep.
New man.
New
Yes.
man.
New man.
Wants to include old man.
Old man.
Dead man.
Old dead
dead
man.
man.
Rest in peace, man.
Rest in peace, man.
No. That's-
Pictures plural, not
Yeah.
picture.
Oh, yeah, it's not even just a singular in the
Like I feel like, no, even that would be weird. I would understand it if, like, let's say there was a child from that previous marriage, and you guess you want to get like a photo with just her, the child, and the old. But this is a wedding though. Mm-hmm. This is not like Easter Sunday.
Am I the asshole for postponing our wedding because my fiance wants to have pictures of her late husband in it? My fiance and I have been together for about 3 years. We got engaged 6 months ago. We were doing some planning and she mentioned, where do you think late husband's name's picture could go? I was confused and asked her to clarify, and she said she wants her late husband's picture at the wedding. She went into more detail at my request. She wants one of the bridesmaids to hold his picture during the ceremony, as well as his picture on our table. And when taking pictures, she wants to hold him in most photos. I told her that I didn't want that, and while I understand he's important to her, I'd feel uncomfortable with his pictures in our wedding, especially when they're so prominent. We got into a fight and she yelled, "I can't believe you're jealous. He's fucking dead. What do you think, I'm gonna fuck him at our wedding?" I decided to postpone the wedding, and honestly, I'm thinking of calling it off altogether. Am I the asshole?
That's not even a red flag. That's just straight up black.
Yeah, that's not.
That's not a flag. You're in construction zone, my guy. Don't even pass.
Alarms are blaring.
Yeah,
Like
The street is closed.
danger.
that's wild.
Oh my gosh. No.
Wait, what was the reason she said? I missed because it seemed like she explained
Absolutely
the places
nothing.
where he was going to be.
She didn't really give a reason.
Yeah,
She just talked about where he wanted to go. He said, she was like, where do you think we can put husband's picture at? And he was like, what do you mean?
she's like, oh yeah,
And that's when she was
here.
like, here.
But she didn't say why. Wow.
I don't know. I feel like he's not the asshole for that. So for me, when you guys were talking about earlier about not a picture at all, I could maybe see like you guys are saying, if it was a really good relationship and they ended up passing away, one picture like somewhere, or I don't know,
Like in the program, like real small.
not in the program.
The program.
Like,
too much.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's not necessarily wrong to remember like people from your past as you're like about to like move on into something different. And if there was a way that they could work it out and have it be appropriate and okay for both people, I think that would be okay. But that's having one picture there.
Yeah.
They're not in any other pictures. They're not in the program. Nothing where anybody else is going to remember them by. You know, even if it was like a prominent like locket or something that she had, or I don't know, something. And maybe it was like she did something with it afterwards.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like a lot of people's spouses, when they, you know, pass, I don't think it's necessarily too weird for them to have a memory of them, even as they potentially do move on to other people, where they're like, I have this love for you, but I also have this love for somebody in my heart that passed away. You know, I don't know. Never experienced it. So I'm just speaking from what I think would be. Everything else, though, that she's doing, I think is, like you guys are saying, a big red flag. All of this stuff of like having the bridesmaid hold the picture during the wedding, having his picture at their table, and when taking pictures, he is in her hands.
That's what cracked me up.
That is a big no-no. And I totally get why. It's exactly because people are going to be wondering, okay, why is she holding this picture of this man in the pictures with you guys when you guys are together taking your pictures as one, you know, family?
I feel like that's going to also cause strain on the relationship, because I feel like it's difficult for me to say, but from my perspective, it's just going to be him feeling like he's less than.
Oh, 1 second. Hold that thought.
You told me to hold on to my thought.
And then I distracted you.
No, but basically what I was saying, I feel like he's going to, and of course it's like, this is just my insight, that he's going to feel like that he is in competition or less than the first guy that she married, because you're already kind of setting that foundation, that groundwork, that I have someone here that I guess that you've respected and admired and to some degree still in love with. So now I feel like I have to compete for your love for this person that's no longer here. Even though, you know, you could never really take the place of a loved one, but still you're entering in like this new stage in your life. I don't feel like it's helpful or beneficial for that relationship that you're entering in to go in with old baggage.
I agree.
If you're moving into a new home.
And that's totally fair too. Like, who knows if my mind changes when I get older, but originally I was like, I don't know, maybe one picture or one type of memoriam that she has, like some memorabilia. But also the other side is totally fair. The opinion of just, nope, clean slate, you know.
Yeah, because I think I see what you're saying. I don't mind, like, I don't see like there being a problem with it, a little thing being there, but it's like how adamant she is about having it, like how the emotion that came from them, like what's that about?
Right.
I thought it was me and you together. Also, is he hotter than me? If he's hotter than me, I don't want to remind
She's
him.
like, look at the picture, Jeff.
If he looks better, I don't want his picture around.
She's like, look at the picture, Jeff.
Yeah.
You tell
No.
me. You tell me.
The only reason we're together is because he died. Because look at this man. He's a stallion. And I don't want that at my wedding. I don't want to rewind it.
He's just actually a centaur.
I'm like, oh,
It's crazy.
I agree with it. More what Joe was saying.
I was like, did you forget his name?
I swore you forgot his name. I was like, the way you were doing it, I'm like, Joe, is it?
No, I can never forget my twin's name.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. He kind of took everything I was going to say.
Yeah.
I will say, so top comment here. Okay, I'm a widow of 12 years and this just isn't right. I understand she may want a memory of him with her, but pictures of him and pictures of you two is just wrong on so many levels. There are many inconspicuous ways of having him with her. You are 100% right for postponing your wedding and possibly canceling it too. My thoughts are that she isn't ready to move on. Why? I don't know. She needs some counseling to find out or some deep soul searching. And I definitely agree on the counseling or getting therapy just to really figure out, like, you know, why you need him there, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe you know, but
I think the other thing that sucks is that it seems like it was a blind side to him.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's it.
Well, to piggyback off of that, I felt like this is a conversation that y'all should have had like months, depending on how long you've been engaged,
Yes.
years ago.
Yeah.
To just up and just decide, oh, we're going to do this. Like, I don't know, this up to this close to the wedding is absolutely insane. I feel like you could have just like, hey, a couple years back or a couple months back, but like, hey, I am toying with this idea of doing this. What are your thoughts? And then now I feel like this is an issue of communication.
Right.
And if you're not communicating now,
And that was a big thing to communicate too. It's not like it was just like, oh, I don't want the dishes in this cabinet. No, it's like something
this is major. I feel
you
like,
need to talk about for sure.
in my head, I was like, the only way that I'd allow it, and even then, that's kind of weird because I feel like I've heard a story of where this lady, I guess, was marrying the best friend of her past husband or dead husband.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, with that, since they were like close, cool, would that be acceptable? But still at the same time, it's just like, where are the boundaries? Like, how do we know that this is still would be okay with either the deceased person? And that's the thing. Would you know if the deceased husband in this context would be comfortable knowing that you're about to marry somebody else, but you have a picture of them included in the wedding? Yeah. Like, I mean, at this point, you know, if I'm going up to Glory, I'd be like, well, I feel like this is weird or disrespectful to this guy. Why? I don't know. The whole entire situation is questionable. I definitely feel like it's a conversation that should have been had months and months ago.
Also, the fact that she's just like, the stuff she said afterwards was hurtful too.
That was,
like, what am I gonna do? F him? It's like, bro,
like, what is that reaction?
I wouldn't even insinuate it. There's no way I can insinuate that to be a thing.
Right.
Why would you say that out of all things?
I'm like, even with the comment that Madi shared, I feel like if you wanted to take a subtle approach, and I guess not necessarily have mentioned it, I don't know if you had like something like a pair of earrings that the other person gave you that you could use as, like, you know, something subtle that, like, you know, for you, he's there, but at the same time, it's respectful of everybody else.
It seems like she wants everybody to know. Like, a picture's everywhere. It's on the table. It's the bridesmaids
seeing what she came through.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm like, do you even want to get married to me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
she's about to bring her to the honeymoon too.
Yeah, and I'm like, if you're
absolutely not. Sorry.
that'd be good.
She's bringing it out to dinner,
Yeah.
showing the waitress, like this next story.
I had it. I should have just kept going because I had it and then I let that go.
All right. Am I the asshole for not tipping after overhearing what my waitress said about me?
No.
I always tip though. I tip with bad service. I know people are like, you shouldn't do that. I still do it. I just tip regardless.
You said people like you. What do you mean?
I didn't say people like you.
Oh, okay.
I just said I know people don't like that.
Am I the asshole for not tipping after overhearing what my waitress said about me? I, 30 female, was at a restaurant last night with my mother. She was meeting my boyfriend's mom for the first time. We're punctual people, so we got there about 30 minutes before our reservation. We got seated with no issues. It took the waitress 20 minutes to get to our table, even though the restaurant was pretty empty. Right away, I could tell she didn't want to wait on us. She didn't greet us with a hello. She just asked what we wanted to drink. We told her, and I noticed that she didn't write down our order. It took another 15 minutes for our drinks to get to the table, and they were wrong. It's hard to mess up ginger ale and vodka soda, but she did. My mom pointed out that she didn't order a Pepsi, and the waitress rolled her eyes, took my mother's glass, and disappeared. I excused myself to use the washroom shortly after. I had no idea where I was going, so I went to the entrance to ask one of the hostesses there, and while I was walking up to the service area, I overheard my waitress talking to some other hostess. She was pissed that she had to wait on a black table because they never tip well. My mother and I were the only black people in the restaurant. She wasn't even whispering when she said it. I wasn't stunned, but her lack of effort started to make sense. I interrupted their conversation and I asked where the bathroom was. I didn't let on that I had heard what they were talking about. And when I got out of the bathroom, my boyfriend and his mom were already there. My boyfriend and his mother are white. And when my waitress saw the rest of our party, she did a 180. Her service was stellar. She took notes, told jokes, and our water glasses were always filled. She didn't make another mistake. Because the night went so well, I decided to treat everyone and pay the check. She gave me the machine, and I smiled at her while I keyed in 0% for the tip. She didn't notice until after the receipt had been printed out, and by that time, all of us had already started to leave. She tapped me on the shoulder and asked if I had made a mistake on the bill, and I told her I didn't think so, and looked at the receipt. She asked me if there was a problem with her service, and I said her service was fantastic, but since I was a black woman, I don't tip well. Her face went white, and she kind of laughed nervously. I laughed as well. I walked out after that, but my boyfriend's mom asked what happened. I told her what I overheard, and my boyfriend's mom said that I should have tipped her anyway, because it shows character. She seemed pretty pissed at me after that. My boyfriend and my mom are both on my side, but I'm wondering if I should have just thrown in a $2 tip.
No, I like that.
That worked perfect.
No, I like that.
Yeah. She good.
Should be all right.
She is completely fine.
Builds
Yep.
character.
But it's funny enough, I do agree with what she did. I'm like, I love that. But that's probably why I do tip almost all the time, because of that stereotype that I don't want to live up to that quote unquote stereotype.
This was a new stereotype to me because every black person I know, we always tip well.
Yeah, I think I've always had that too, but I've definitely heard that we're like, oh yeah, it's a black table, they're not going to tip.
Really?
Yeah. Amongst waiters.
This is news to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where?
I think the thing, too, that was disappointing was to hear that the white mom wasn't
Whoa.
backing her up.
She probably was.
Just
It's
a
disappointing
little.
to hear, but I get it.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't expecting her to understand.
Yeah.
I was even thinking like, okay, maybe it's an issue of the context, but if she told you the reason why she didn't tip, you'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But for you to still be like, well, you should have tipped anyway.
Yeah.
Why, like I was saying earlier, why would we reward bad behavior?
Even the line about it builds character to tip well. I was like,
that
okay, it's a little
yucky.
I
didn't like
Like,
that.
so you're questioning my character?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't like that at
I don't need
all.
to build up my character, actually. Thank you so much.
I think I'm pretty good. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
So, top comment, not the asshole. I worked as a server for 6 years and I would absolutely not expect a tip for behaving like this to customers. She probably does not make much in tips and this industry isn't for her. It's so inappropriate to ask people why they didn't tip you. This is so embarrassing. And somebody else said, agree. When I worked in service, I noticed the trend of who tipped and who didn't tip. The trends didn't just apply to black people, but I still gave the same level of service to everyone, even if they were regulars that I knew for a fact would or wouldn't tip well. Giving bad service to someone doesn't make my day any better or make me any more money. I'm being paid to be there and provide service, so that's what I did. Enough people tipped well enough that I was generally happy at the end of the day.
I mean, that's the best way to look
Yeah,
at
I
it.
guess that is one aspect we didn't necessarily talk about. Her asking about the tip being a mistake. That's not professional at
I've
all,
never
actually.
heard that.
I've never, yeah.
I feel like that's almost a reportable offense. Like you're really not supposed to do that.
Well, you could do it.
I don't think you
It's just
are. Like,
crazy. Why can't
especially in
you
the.
do it? I
'Cause
think it
it's
would
like-
only be bad from the business perspective, but I don't think there's like any legal thing against it.
I thought it was like something about, I don't know, maybe I'll look it up. But it was like after you make the decision, getting pressured to do it again or think the decision over or something like that.
Well, yeah,
It's
I'm
like-
sure it's probably to like make the person second guess.
Yeah.
And it's probably not the nicest on the customer. But thankfully, OP was like, yeah, because I heard what you said. And apparently I don't tip well, so why would I tip you?
Yeah.
I love happy endings.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
purely a happy ending.
Yeah, I bet you that Waitress is going to like do something like culturally appropriate something next.
That's
like
crazy that
this
he
next story.
did that. Isn't that crazy that he did that?
Never
I was
let
waiting
them
for
know
the
your
split
next
bill.
move.
I was waiting for the split bill.
But he's like, nah, I ain't doing it.
Never let them know
He
your
said,
next
I ain't
move.
doing it. And I do applaud you for that. That was good.
Am I the asshole for angrily telling a friend, I'm sorry I was born this way after she said my hair was cultural appropriation? I'm a 19-year-old female. I'm also a Caucasian person. Relevant, I think. I have a natural fro. I'm not exaggerating when I refer to it as a fro. It's a big, round puffball of curls from my head. I have a friend group. Almost all of us knew each other in high school. I'm not sure exactly how relevant this detail is, but almost everyone in the group is a person of color. We get together every once in a while, and the last time we met up, the topic of cultural appropriation came up. Topics like this are not unusual for us, as we sometimes talk about politics or societal topics. We all have the same left-wing beliefs, so it's easy for us to talk about these things. In the discussion about cultural appropriation, fros came up. Afros more specifically. I didn't really think much of it for a while, as it makes sense to me that someone mimicking the hairstyle of people of color would be offensive. I didn't really contribute to the conversation except for nodding along, as I agree with what they say, but I couldn't really add to it as I'm white. At some point in the conversation, I started to feel like people were looking at me. Not like conversational looks, but kind of like looking me up and down before glancing away and repeating. I brushed this off as I had issues with societal anxiety, so when I was little, so most of the time when I feel insecure, I figure it's just my anxiety bursting through my medication to bite me in the butt. After a few minutes of feeling this way, one friend commented how weird it was that I have my hair in a fro despite being white. All of my friends are well aware that my hair is completely natural and I don't do anything to get it that way, so I was taken aback. A few other friends chimed in saying stuff like, I should straighten it, and that I would be adding to racial tension and making people see me and thinking it's okay to appropriate fros. I snapped and said, I'm sorry I was born this way. I was using a loud tone, which I was not really proud of, as myself am very adverse to anything that resembles yelling. I wouldn't say I yelled, but I was speaking noticeably louder than the volume we maintained. Some of my friends looked disappointed while others looked disgusted. They all kind of just left after that. If anything, I think I'm the asshole for how I responded, but also asking if I'm the asshole for having my hair like this. I talked to other friends or family about this, but I'm worried about them being disappointed in me. Any advice is appreciated. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if it's natural...
That's honestly a great conversation piece.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Maddie. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, that was really just it of like, I think the biggest point is like, it's not like she's purposely trying to do it. It's just naturally what her hair looks like. So I guess that would be the only thing of like, so you're asking her to change it so that it looks more like what's more okay, I guess, for white people to have.
More okay. I think my thing is like I've never had a problem with cultural appropriation and how they're saying it. I think my biggest thing is whether people are treated the same for in this situation the same hairstyles. So it's like the whole dreads, the conversations. If a white woman can have dreads if she wants to, but if a black woman goes to a job and a white woman goes to a job and the black woman's treated differently because she has dreads and the white woman, that's my issue. I don't care what pieces of culture people are taking, especially being in America where we're borrowing from each other all the time. I don't have an issue. If she wants to have a fro, I don't have an issue with that. Me personally. I think you're more than welcome to have a fro if you want. Even if it wasn't natural, if you wanted to have a fro, have a fro. Mm-hmm. It's usually just how society looks at, typically in this situation, black hairstyles and how they treat people differently, or it says something about them that they have this hairstyle.
Yeah. I think you might need to move your mic, Sam. You're still pretty quiet.
I don't know what's going on.
But anyway, good points, good points.
I never get applause. I never get applause. That's good.
I think this is actually hilarious because one of my best friends in college, he's white and his hair takes on an afro-like format, if you will. It's growing out. And I think like seeing it for the first time, my honest opinion of it was not necessarily like, oh, he's trying to be black, you should do this to your hair. I was like, oh, your hair is super curly, that's cool, that's sweet. And I just went about my business.
Yeah.
I feel like most people are too hyper fixated on certain things at this point, especially within today's day and age. Most people are looking for something to be upset about. In this context, I feel like if you apparently they've been around him a lot. If he has this hairstyle almost.
Oh, he's a girl, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, but thank you so much for correcting me. If she's had this hairstyle almost every single time you've seen her,
Right.
it would kind of be evident that
Don't change
like,
now.
this is a natural thing for her. I feel like she is not the asshole in this sense. I just felt like it was a little awkward in which she responded.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I was born this way. It seems a bit like much. If she would have just, I applaud her. First of all, I applaud her for standing up for herself. Because sometimes that can be a lot, specifically if you have like social anxiety. Being undiagnosed myself, I have like moments where I have a hard time standing up for myself. But so I applaud her in that sense, but I feel like you can't really control how somebody reacts to something, but I feel like it would have been a little bit beneficial just to be like, hey, like, I appreciate, how I want to word it. I appreciate you being observative. Good
job.
I can't think of the word. However, this is a part of who I am. This is how my hair naturally grows. There's not really much I can do about it. But I, at the same time, I feel like asking her to straighten her hair is actually kind of not hilarious, but in my head, it's kind of hilarious. It's kind of like
The opposite of what?
Yeah.
That's what people were saying in the comments
I was trying not to
too.
say like reverse assimilation or something like that.
Straighten
it. You should straighten it so you can look like a regular white person.
Right.
Like, okay, that's.
But my hair naturally goes like that.
I was just like, I just thought that was absolutely.
Actually, that is kind of ironic. That's funny. I didn't even think about it like that.
Somebody said in the comments something along the lines of, so they quoted it and they were like, you should straighten your hair to look more normal or something like that.
What?
And they said, I wonder where I heard that from before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that's kind of. That's why I said it's an interesting conversation piece, especially in the conversation of like of hair. Mm-hmm. That in itself, like what Sam was talking about earlier, when it comes to the appropriation of certain styles, I agree with him. It's not necessarily the act of them having the style that bothers me. It's just not acknowledging or crediting where it came from or knowing the background of that hairstyle and what it's for, because most hairstyles within the Black context are protective styles because our hair is very near and dear to us. Our curls are sensitive. But if it's in this context, since she just like has her hair is just super curly, it's not necessarily as her being disrespectful or anything. It's just how her hair grows from her scalp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I wanted to piggyback off that. If you guys have been friends for so long, why is all of a sudden is this the conversation you're having? It's yeah, like Joe said, like you literally have been seeing her every single day, and then out of nowhere, one day you're like having a conversation. I think that's kind of what happened there. It's like, you know, being traumatized by the systems and all that stuff. Yeah. There are some conversations that it's never just going to end good. And I feel like, especially with hair, since it is really near and dear to Black culture, you saying that, even if you're feeling like ganged up on, you're going to feel wrong regardless. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like Sam, I see it, I'm like, meh, whatever. If it's like there, like, lady saw a white guy wearing a do-rag, and I was just like, okay. I just moved on. It's like there's no need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when it's like a natural aspect of things, it's like, why would I tell her to do that? It's just how she. Maybe, if anything, the friend group should have educated her more on what a cultural appropriation is like, or like just aspects of it, just so she's not like walking around like, I have this fro, and it's like, oh, you're the problem. It's like, no, that's how she grows her hair out. It just happens like that.
Yeah.
But here's some negative connotations of why it happens like this, or why we feel this way when we see certain things like that happen.
But I wonder in this context if the friend group doesn't even know what cultural appropriation is to a certain extent, because they're criticizing her for that. At least not everybody, but the fact that there might be one person in the group that's like maybe insinuating that she's appropriating culture, and she was like, listen, this is the way my hair grows. I'm not appropriating culture. I'm not styling it differently than I have ever done before. And I like what you said about the question about these friends, because she talks about these friends like they're like really important people to her, and
they've been there for a while.
I'm kind of wondering if there was like some underlying malice between them, like maybe they've always kind of just maybe not like that, or like as they've grown older and like learned about different aspects of just different social, what'd she say, like social politics or something, and racial issues. Like I wonder if they maybe created like a little bit of annoyance for certain things that she does, like having an afro, being a white person.
Did she happen to mention like an age, or is there like a certain
19?
She is 19, and she said these are high school friends, so at least like 4+ years, maybe.
Okay. Okay. I'm starting to.
I know something that stood out to me, and it kind of, from what Joe was saying too, with this group being like, she said they were like left-leaning people, and like liberal people, and I would consider myself like a left-leaning person. Sometimes in conversations with people, liberals like that, it can be like they're just looking for something, like a difference. Like we mostly think almost all the same things. If someone's like a little bit off, you're like, get that person, they're evil, they're right-wing people, they're like conservative, like all that kind of stuff. You're like, we can like be a little bit different and not, we don't have to think about the exact same thing. And sometimes I see in things like that where they just look at the one difference when we're like almost 100% the same in everything else. And you're like, no, you're different. Like, what is wrong? Why are you doing that?
Why would you do that?
Yeah, that's like, I get those vibes from, I don't think I hang around too many of those people now, but I definitely remember like in college, like where we're like, oh, we think a lot of the same things. And then one person thinks something off and they get demonized for
Wait a
it.
minute now.
Yeah, I also wonder if the young, I was going to say, I wonder if the age also plays a whole thing into it, just, figuring out about cultural appropriation at that age. You're young, you figure out about it, you're angry about it because you realize it affects you as an individual, affects your offspring coming into the world too when that happens. So I wonder if that's also, because it seems like because it said they do talk about politics and a lot of stuff too. So it's like a group of people that I'm assuming can handle a lot of heavy topics.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it's just, some heavy topics, like especially racial, like politics, cool. You can kind of still separate it. Like you can separate, like it doesn't affect you the same way a race effect has on you. Like politics, they are making like policies and whatnot, but you wake up every day being black. It doesn't affect you the same way that a racial conversation will.
You mean a political?
Yeah, a political conversation won't affect you as much as a racial conversation will.
Yeah.
So them having that lens is probably what's making them like more like attack.
Which I'm not saying. I want to be clear. I'm not trying to say race does not affect us, and like how we view the lens and view life and stuff.
Yeah.
And like how it affects us. But there are some things where I'm like, I like said it before, like they're like internet buzz things. And right now, me and my everyday thing, when I wake up and I'm around here, cultural appropriation is not affecting me. Like it's not being detrimental to my life. And I'm not saying this is not to other people. But some people take these things, these giant topics, and they're like, they put it on other people, and I'm like, it's not even affecting you. But you're throwing it on other people when this was not. This was just us having a nice societal conversation about things, and you made it a thing. And I can see it's difficult for her to like. She got defensive. She really got defensive. But she's like, I didn't even know this was about to happen. Like, I thought we were just having a nice thing. And I see people, like, starting to side-eye me a little bit.
Getting
You're
jumped.
like, yeah. So I get, like, sometimes I'm like, was this even needed?
It wasn't.
It depends. Also, does it show a date of when the Reddit post was made? Because there's a lot of things that I'm thinking about, too. Like, you know, the passing or the creation of the Crown Act.
So it was posted like 16 days ago when I screenshotted it, which was probably like a week ago. So under 30 days.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the importance of hair within our culture. I feel like I'm constantly on it because my mom was a hairstylist for like 30 years. So when we think about hair, it's not just some passive things for us. It's a part of identity, right? And I feel like for this age group, they're like transitioning into this next stage of life from high school to college. Yeah. That's going to play a major role. And sometimes in business context and academic context, the hair can make or break some opportunities, but it's still something that is a part of us. So I'm trying to I'm understanding it in that way, but I still feel that even with all of that, you can't necessarily like blame someone or try to pass all of this information, because I'm pretty sure that they've had some sort of conversation about this, because they are currently that their physical appearance, their genetic makeup does not necessarily. I'm trying to find the words to put it together. Basically, all that to say is that the way that she was born as a person, as her physical features, her hair, that's something that she cannot innately change. That's as very much as a part of her identity as it would be for them.
True.
So to ask her to just like, okay, straighten your hair is hilariously ironic, but at the same time, it's like, why would you want to kind of perpetuate that cycle if we're looking to have some sort of progress for the future? And it also made me think about this is also a time. Stop laughing. This is also a time where you need to really start to reevaluate your friend groups as you're making this transition into this next season or next step in life, because if this is going to be a problem now, who knows what could be potentially be another problem that you was talking about earlier. And then on top of that, I feel like this is a reoccurring theme because it came up again. What was the other story that we did? It came up in one of the other stories, the pictures about communication. Yeah. About the lack thereof. Because as we stated, since they've been friends for a good amount of time, they've had a plethora of conversations. I feel like if this has been something that you guys have been uncomfortable about, and I consider you a friend, like for example, I can call on Brandon and I can be like, Brandon, I feel uncomfortable with da-da-da-da. He'd be like, okay, shoot, let's talk about it. That's the type of relationship we have. Yeah. At this point, if you don't have that type of relationship with some of, if not all of your friends, it's kind of time to reevaluate the type of circle that you have. Yeah. That's my soapbox on that.
Definitely agree with that.
That's very true.
So there's an update, kind of.
Oh.
Ooh.
Thank you to all of you who commented, which by now is a surprising amount. I appreciate all the advice you guys gave. I'm still trying to get through the comments, and I haven't even begun to try to respond to any of them. Not entirely sure if this counts as an update. I've spent a while mulling over advice, and an overwhelming amount of you suggest that I stop considering these people friends, along with a lot of people who suggest that they may have never been friends in the first place. Reading responses have given me a new perspective on this, as I came here expecting I'm the asshole, but wanting more of a view which for and why. To get it straight off the bat, I don't want to stop being friends with these people, not unless it really comes down to it. I don't think this stems from prejudice or malice, as some people believed. I think rather it came from ignorance and misunderstanding. I'm going to reach out to them in the coming days and try to explain my renewed view and maybe even share some of the comments with them. These are people I've known for years. We've helped each other through dark times and celebrated good times. If they are completely unreceptive, then I don't think we'll remain friends, but I don't want to lose these people for something that can be worked out. My hope is just that we can work through this and be better. Thanks especially to people expressing concern for my well-being and their views on similar matters. Even bigger thanks to those who express concern for my hair's well-being and the idea to use hair products made for people of color. For some reason, I can only attribute to sheer lack of attention for my hair and its health. I'd never really considered this. When I think about it, I'm coming out of this with friendship tips, world viewing tips, and hair tips. I suppose more than anything right now, I'm just tired. I feel like I need to curl up in my bed for 3 days, but this is like a bump in the road that I wish to overcome. I highly doubt I'll update this. I decided not to post this on my main account so it wouldn't be associated with browsing on this site for obvious reasons. I'll try to get back to at least some comments. I guess more than anything, this update is just to say thanks for caring enough to give me advice, whether it was a single word or 3 paragraphs. And then top comment, not the asshole. No one needs to change their natural self to please others. And then somebody else quotes, your hair looks too much like mine, so you need to change it. And they said, is a pretty damn strange take. Those don't exactly sound like friends. Somebody else said, a wild take. You should straighten your hair because its natural texture confuses people, and that's a problem. Now where have I heard this kind of thing before?
I don't know. I don't like some of the language OP used. What you mean by the?
She said these people.
These people.
I'm back in. She's
I don't know. Like, you know, I was siding with you a little bit, OP. You know, those are trigger words for me. You people. You brown people.
Yeah, the only real benefit of having this large group of friends is you can have someone to split the bill with, like this
next story.
Jang, jang.
You transitioning exactly how I heard it in my head.
Yeah, you like that.
You like that.
You like that.
Done with them.
It was cool.
Did
Yeah, I
you like
liked it.
that?
Hey,
Yeah. I approve.
thank you. I got applause and an approval from Brandon. This is my day.
Things are looking up.
This is my
This is my day.
Am I the asshole for not ordering any food so I wouldn't have to split the bill?
No. But why did you go out to eat?
Yeah. Am I the asshole for not ordering any food so I wouldn't have to split the bill? I, 27 male, have been a part of a small friend group, around 8 people, basically since college. For some background, 2 people in the group, Susan and Greg, are just absolute leeches. Going out for lunch, expect them to order the most expensive thing on the menu, then feed you some sob story about their finances, and then dump half the bill on you. Last weekend, Dan, one of the people from the group, told me about a casual dinner. I told him if Susan and Greg were there, then I wouldn't be able to come. He tells me that they would be there, but I should just put my opinions aside and just come once. This is kind of where I might be the asshole. I agreed with him, and I told him that I would be there. I show up, and we all get to talking. Everyone began putting their orders in. Most of us spent about $40. There were only about 6 people there. When it gets to Susan and Greg, they both order expensive dishes around $200.
Oh my gosh.
When it was my turn to order, everyone looked at me, but I just picked up the menu and pointed to the $4 Miller Lite and sent the waiter away. Dan asked why I hadn't ordered anything, and all I said was that I lost my appetite. The other 2 friends got up as well to cancel their orders and just have drinks.
Okay.
After the main courses came out, I saw Susan and Greg picking at their food. The waiter then brings over the check. Greg then grabs the waiter and asks him to split the check 6 ways. I stand up and I correct him, saying the check was supposed to actually be split 3 ways. Greg looks at me confused and asks why, since we always split the bill. And I reminded him that 3 of us have not even eaten any food, so we would just be paying for our drinks. So basically at the end of the night, Dan, who probably only ate around $50 worth of food, was stuck with a $146 check at the end. Yes, I remember the exact number. I swear I saw his jaw drop when he picked up the receipt. I slid a 10 towards the check, said goodbye everyone, and then I walked out.
Yeah.
The next morning, I found my phone full of texts from Greg and Susan telling me I was an asshole for not ordering any food and forcing them to pay more than they had accounted for. I honestly laughed because the stakes alone were more than what they had paid, but to each their own. I also got a lot of messages from Dan saying that I could have just not came instead of pulling that stunt and getting him stuck with an outrageous bill. And then there's a few edits.
Wouldn't he would have gotten stuck with the...
Right.
Okay.
Well, he might have not led the revolution of the two other people who put
Also-
the food in, who got drinks, because they were going to get meals, so it would have been 5 ways instead of 3
He
ways.
didn't want to go in the first place, though. He got to get convinced to.
So my thing is like the people that they went with, I'm pretty sure that they're aware of Greg and Susan's
Yeah.
antics as well. So I feel like a revolution would have been had whether it was him or not. Definitely not the a-hole in my understanding.
Yeah.
But
No,
hey, you know.
definitely not the ace hole. Ain't no ace host is here.
Because we've had this conversation about friends and bills, and like I feel like we've never had this issue because people just pay for their own food typically.
Yeah.
Yeah, like kind of what's been happening here lately for the Airbnb. I mean, we'll see what happens at the end. But everybody's kind of just been like buying like stuff for like a night, seemingly.
Yeah.
And then they kind of pay for that. And then it just seems like, okay, the next person that goes to the grocery store is going to like cover everybody else's stuff for like the next night instead of like splitting it equally, which sometimes people are okay with and other times people aren't. It seems to be like people are okay with doing that right now. But again, I'm not against that changing.
Right.
But, you know, it seems like it's more of like, okay, I got groceries tonight or, you know, whatever.
Right.
But I don't know. Like you said, we've talked about this before. Me and Brandon almost always just, whenever our friend group goes out, it's separate checks. And
separate.
I'm realizing that that's an American luxury, at least because I think he goes to talk about how he lives in Australia and how separate checks are not a thing. And restaurants usually reject them.
Really?
And I wonder if that's that way in like the UK or the EU or whatever. But
Interesting.
yeah, so they usually, the restaurant really only does split checks. And we don't do that. But you talked about, Sam, how you've done that before with your friend group, or like one person will get it knowing that it'll be like a rotation.
Yeah, that usually happens when you're just like, oh, it's just too much of a hassle to like think about paying separately. But typically we're paying separately, I would say.
I feel like I've been to a couple restaurants. Was that this year? Last year? Last year I went to Italy for a little tour, and
Italy.
a couple of the places that we went to, it's not a common practice to split the check, but some places will allow you to do so. It just, as you stated, it's a little bit more, I guess, hectic, if you will. But there's been some places where I see that they're starting to kind of adopt it, but it wouldn't be safe to assume that all places adhere to that.
Edit number 1, at this restaurant, the bar is separate, so drinks are on a separate bill, if that makes sense. And if anyone is concerned about leaving a tip, I live in Australia. And then edit number 2, hey guys, just wanted to clarify some things. 1, 90% of restaurants where I live don't do separate checks, and they might separate the bill for you if you're lucky. By the way, this post is Australian dollars, so if you want the amounts in USD, you have to convert it. Number 2, Dan could have easily asked Greg and Susan to transfer him the money if he wanted, but he always has been about helping them through their financial hardship, even though they're just using him and keep dragging me into it. I admit what I did was immature, but I'm tired of being forced to play along. It's his money, and if he wants to spend it on them, that's fine, but I'm not paying for them. Number 3, also Dan's a really good friend to me, albeit blind as fuck. I was just trying to get him to see what kind of people he was helping. I will admit it was a tad bit petty. And number 4, thanks for the gold.
Thanks for the gold. Appreciate it.
And the other thing, too, is like them reaching out the next day and being like, you were the asshole for splitting us with the bill that we didn't plan on spending more than that. And he was like, but in his head, he was saying their stakes were more than the bills that they ended up paying, even though they split
Did he
it.
respond? Because I wouldn't have responded
I
at
think
all.
he just laughed. I don't think he
I
responded.
kind of like that, though, that they did that. Because that means they're like professional deadbeats. They're like, we
dare you
don't
not
play
pay for
about
my
being deadbeats. We're calling you about this because this means that much. Because that's crazy to actually
They
call
stand on
them.
business
Yes.
being deadbeats.
Yeah.
They're like, we knew that you guys would pay for us and you didn't. So what's up with that? We didn't have money for that. We literally did not like budget to be paying more than
Right.
this much money.
It's like you're messing up my grind.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Because even mentioning it at the restaurant, I feel like I would be embarrassed. Even if I was a person like that, I'm a deadbeat, I would be embarrassed to be like, wait, can't we do it? I thought we were going to do it 5 ways. I would never say that sentence. I would be like, I would just be in my head crying. I'm like, dang, I messed up. But I'd be too embarrassed to say something. So you have no self-respect to be like, no, you said we were doing 5 ways. I ain't got the money.
Never again.
That's crazy.
So,
So I'm supposed to be able to depend on y'all.
so the
I'm
last
relying on y'all.
story is about infertility, but it's a little bit, it's not like horrible, but it's a little dark. I kind of want to maybe move it. Your mom's in the morning tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we can move it to her
Okay.
and she'll just have 7 stories.
What?
She'll have 72
Couldn't
stories.
work my mom. Give her 7 stories. That's crazy.
We're going to go to the full 2 hour and 15
That's
mark.
my mom.
All right. So we will see you guys next week. Thank you, Joe, for being on.
Yeah, thanks,
It's
Joe.
been an absolute pleasure, guys. I'm such a fan.
Yeah.
Thank you for recording the Comfort Level Pod thing for us.
Yeah, he
that's
dropped
gonna be
us a
crazy.
gift. Are you going to show it in the episode?
I kind of want to do it. It's like cool. And then, you know, hopefully we have a story next week. So, and if not, I'll find one so we can use
It'll
it.
be good. It'll be good.
Or definitely once we come back from our vacation trip. So
Vacaciones.
at least a few more weeks and you'll definitely hear it.
Yes.
But yeah, so thank you guys for coming to the Comfort Level Podcast, and we will see you next week. Bye. Sam's
So long.
mom is going to be on.
You say it like that.
my friend. Molly was at fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't your.
I mean, I think it was a guacamole, but
So this morning, I went to go enjoy some of the guacamole that you made,
Okay.
and I was about to it looked like there was like this big onion in the like Tupperware, and I lifted up and I'm like, this is plastic. And from the angle that I could see, it looked like the container was completely closed. And so I was like, what is this? And then I look at it from a different angle, and for some reason,
giant hole.
there was a giant hole in the Tupperware, and it fell in the guacamole. And so I pulled that out. I obviously like scrounged around. I just left like a layer of whatever guacamole was next to it just so nobody got plastic. But I put it in a different container. But when I went to go put it in the trash can, which was already almost full, you do that thing where you like push it down
Yeah.
to see how full is it really?
Yeah.
You know? I pushed it down, but with my I pushed it down, but with the pressure of the plastic in the middle of it, not even on the sides, and it went. And so I cut my hand.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And they don't have Band-Aids here. You know, there's a few, for the most part, this Airbnb is really nice, but I'm going to say it's pretty dusty.
dusty. Dang.
Have you not seen those stairs?
Oh, you mean dust in like dust? Okay, I thought you meant like
They
dust.
whooping,
Webs
the
in
dust
the
is
corner.
whooping my tail right now.
Very dusty. And they don't have a first aid kit. They just have like the bandages for stitches. So
which is pretty good.
Okay. That's.
I mean, I think
And they
we
don't
did
have
gloss over the
Neosporin.
real question from that story is,
Did you need some Neosporin? I got some off-brand.
Joe,
yeah, maybe.
what'd you put in the guacamole?
Plastic, evidently.
No, it seemed like something ate
Well,
the
I don't know.
plastic. Is something going to eat us from the inside? That's what we're worried
I don't know.
about.
I feel like when I was like manually mashing up the avocados, I feel like I was putting a lot of elbow grease in there. Maybe I didn't anticipate like
So
how
there's
much.
elbow grease. There's elbow grease.
A little bit of elbow grease and love, guys.
A little bit of
So-
I
elbow
taste the
grease.
love, but I'm worried about the elbow grease, to be honest with you.
And I tasted that seasoning, and I like that seasoning.
It was
And-
good. It was good.
Listen, that's some different stuff that I wasn't used to working with, like that accent seasoning. That was my first time using that.
Would you think you would put it in your next guacamole, or you just stick with the basics, stick with what you know?
Probably stick with the basics, but I don't know. Since it was a fan favorite, no, I take that back. I won't, because when I was first testing it out, I was like, something is missing, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I still felt like something was missing. It might have been the presence of the
Garlic
accent.
salt? Was there garlic salt?
No, there wasn't garlic salt. There was garlic powder.
Yeah,
Maybe
Sam.
that's what it was.
I usually put garlic salt in mine. That's me.
Instead of regular salt?
Yeah, but I'm crazy like that.
Talk to subscribers. Tell us what is on your mind. Can we talk to subscribers? r/com for level pod.